Yeah, come and take a look at the snow. Bright white as far as your eyesight goes. Come and take a look at the fields of snow. I'll just get my coat, then we're good to go. Come and take a look at the lake. Let's have a quick skate before it gets late. Come and take a look at the frozen lake. Put your clothes on, mate, don't make that mistake.
Greetings, holiday shoppers. There are now 71 shopping days left until Christmas, and you know what that means. That means it's time for another episode of Christmas Creeps, your one-stop shop for holiday movies and TVs, and all electronics therein, all year round. My name is Joseph Wade. I will be your host for this evening. It's 71 days until Christmas. As we record this, 57 days until Christmas when we release this. So if those numbers mean anything to you, welcome to the show, friends. Here with us tonight are my co-hosts, Johnny Five, the human robot.
Smooth move, X-Lax.
Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot. And Mr. Bradford is here as well.
Good going, you big dummy.
And to help us discuss this final episode, maybe, of Home for the Horror Days this year is our old pal, Dr. Nick. Nick, welcome back.
More like pee-poo.
Hey.
Fucking got it. Episode over. That's the review.
Okay, everybody's got a joke in the tank. I know they do. Nick's just shot his shot. Bradford, you got anything?
It's like it's P, but it's worse, so that's why they call it P2, because it's the second level of P.
Okay, Jonathan?
It's like Luigi.
I mean, mine was going to be P2, the sequel to P, so there we go. We're all on the same page tonight, friends. Yes, Nick is here tonight to discuss the film P2 from 2007. Nick, why did you choose P2?
Well, here's the thing. You shared with me the list of all the different movies you were going to cover, and there was one on the list, I think it was just called Santa Claus, that I read the synopsis of it, and it was about a boy who, as a kid, realizes his mom is a prostitute and fucks Santa Claus on Christmas, and that turns him into a serial killer later on. And looking at the description later on, it's like, oh, he stalks an adult film star, and I'm like, okay, that's not going to be a fun time. But it did remind me that that is canonically Charlie Kelly's backstory in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. His mom was a prostitute who had sex with a nonstop. The Santa Clauses were running a train on his mom, but that reminded me of a different episode of Always Sunny, where Charlie and Mac are telling Dennis a story about how they were stuck in a parking garage, and this creepy old guy came up to them and said, "I have the keys," because he was the parking garage attendant the entire time. And Dennis is baffled. Dennis is baffled by how terrible their story is.
Oh wow!
So they were running a Polar Express on his mom.
Oh Lord,
That's a really great way to have arrived at this. And then I also think it's even more appropriate because so much of this one of the main characters in this movie reminds me of Dennis a little bit in a certain regard.
Yeah, is it Thomas?
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, he's definitely Dennis, yeah.
Because of the implications.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and since you mentioned Santa Claus, spelled Claws, I had to go and look that up right fast. And to my bafflement, it's a film written and directed by John A. Russo, which is a name that most people don't know or care about, though apparently he did co-write Night of the Living Dead. So there is that.
The original?
Yes. The one and the same.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, so I don't know where to go with that, but that's a big roundabout way of saying we're watching P2 tonight, friends. Get over it.
Hell yeah.
But before we get into P2, I mean, we do have one order of business that we have to conduct tonight, and I think you know
what nasty food did you find now?
No, I was...
Things that are going to get turned into P2.
Yes.
Got him.
There it is. Strap in, folks, because I feel like we're going to make that joke like 100 times tonight. Just get ready. I'm drinking tonight because P2 is that kind of movie.
Yes.
Tonight I'm drinking a Raleigh Brewing Holiday Bash Spiced Winter Warmer Ale, which I'm pretty sure is from last year's stash. So we'll see how this treats me.
I was about to say, you're getting Christmas beers awfully early, my friend. They usually don't start rocking up until about November 15th, I want to say.
Yes.
Depending.
Honestly, I've exhausted all my October beers, and I'm digging back into the back of the fridge. And this is what's left.
Oh god, this head's about to spill over. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
I mean, Brad, would you be surprised to learn that sometimes Christmas creeps forward?
What you drinking, buddy?
I have got an Aslan Vapid Double IPA. Big fan of this one. Big fan of Aslan, as you may know. But most interestingly, I didn't notice until now, they've stamped, I guess it's a batch name on the bottom, and it's their code name for the beer is J. Crew Model. I guess is fitting with Vapid. So, it's good. It's a good brew. Good brewery.
Very much the J. Crew model of beers, huh?
It's better than a J. Crew model. It's a good beer.
Take your word for that. J-Man, what about you?
Oh, I decided to have some nice sound editing for you, so I have a bottle of water.
Crunchy.
I thought he was going to say he's chewing rocks tonight. That's going to be great. Dr. Nick, last but not least.
I guess I'm just a Trader hoe, because last time I was on this show, I was drinking a Trader Joe's watermelon cucumber cooler for Mobile Suit Gundam Wing Endless Waltz. And tonight I am drinking a Trader Joe's spiced apple cider.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, fitting.
Yeah, it's pretty delicious. It's not like super heavy, but it's got a nice level of spice and stuff, and also it's Trader Joe's. It's pretty cheapish.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I've been down to my local Trader Joe's. I need to go and see if they have any of those there.
Oh yeah, they have like an entire end display of the ciders.
Nice. I do love me a good cider.
Yeah, unfortunately, my local Trader Joe's is also your local Trader Joe's, and we don't live that close to each other.
This is true. This is very true. So, J-Man, if you want anything from Trader Joe's, just let me know.
Like a deep chest freezer full of the orange chicken, maybe?
Maybe not that involved, but sure. So, friends, P2, I really don't know how to get into it except just to get into it. So, hey, while we're in the spirit of giving, Dr. Nick, would you like to play a game tonight?
It didn't come pick up on the mic, but imagine I'm cracking my knuckles like Kenshiro. I'm ready
Yes.
to go.
Can you hear me now?
No, he's just saying his knuckle cracking didn't get picked up.
Oh, okay.
You need to add that sound in.
The movie is already dead, is what he's trying to say.
This plot summary is already finished.
Yes.
Yeah, but should we not do this then?
No, let's do it.
No.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Joseph, I don't think you're picking up on the reference.
No, it's a reference.
I can 100% guarantee you I am not.
Just like this movie, it was a reference to Fist of the North Star, in which heads explode.
Okay.
There's a very famous saying of the main character telling a villain they're already dead because he's already punched their head in. They just haven't realized it yet.
Yeah, he pokes their channels, and they'll be like, "Ha ha ha! You just poked me," and Kenshiro just goes, "You are already dead," and then the person's head like explodes from the inside out.
Wow.
Thank you for the actual Japanese.
You're most welcome.
Welcome to Christmas Creeps, where I just get anime explained to me for an hour and a half every week.
No. All right.
No, we're good. So, friends, if you haven't paid attention in a long time or ever, what we're going to do here is I'm going to ask Dr. Nick to try to explain the plot of P2 as best he can in 60 seconds or less. Whatever time is left on the clock, we will donate that dollar amount to a charity of our choosing, and considering there are still many hurricane victims out there that need assistance, I feel like that's where the money's going to go tonight.
And if I go over, I will donate.
No, if Nick goes over, we are taking money from FEMA. That's how this works. And then we can yell at Joe Biden about it.
Exactly.
Getting topical.
This episode will age like milk. Oh boy. Oh yeah, that's right. This is going to be the last episode before the election. That's going to be a fun time.
Oh Lord.
Speaking of things that are topical right this second, who shit in all the chicken?
I'm sorry.
The chicken, the list. Who shit on all the chicken? Like the big fuck. Like we're recalling 10 million pounds of chicken. Who shit in the chicken?
I have not heard of this.
I haven't either. But considering I had chicken for dinner, I'm listening.
Oh, just go look at the news. There's a huge listeria outbreak with it's mostly prepackaged and frozen chicken stuff.
Trader Joe's, Aldi, HEB. Shoot. I had frozen chicken from Trader Joe's 2 nights ago. Let's see. Red Southwestern Grilled Chicken Mini Burritos. You've heard this is coming out in like a month, so it's fine.
R.I.P.
Okay, great.
If you had a chicken burrito recently with frozen,
you are already dead.
You am almost seen dude. All right. Anyhow,
no. My frozen chicken came from Costco, so I'm fine. Okay, so. Nick, are you ready to rock and roll with this?
Yes, I am.
60 seconds on the clock. Here we go. Your time starts now.
Rachel Nichols plays Angela, who is a hardworking office worker who's late to all of her Christmas obligations on Christmas Eve. She promises to meet her family, but she just can't do it. When she tries to go out to her car won't start, but a security guard named Thomas offers to help her until he chloroforms her, kidnaps her, and then tries to make her fall in love with him. And meanwhile, she spends the entire movie trying to escape. Lots of spooky things happen. Some people die. And eventually, Angela chokes Thomas with her handcuffs, the tool of her oppression, and she makes it out on Christmas morning.
That is 35 seconds on the dot.
Woo!
That's impressive.
All right.
Well done, sir.
Thank you.
So, yeah, $25 will be going to some worthwhile charity in the North Carolina, Tennessee mountain region at some point. I'm sure it'll go to the Red Cross, I believe. But, yeah, congratulations, everybody. We did it. Thank you.
That's probably
Nick.
a more honest summary than I was going to do.
Yeah, it was actually much more complete than I would have done.
I just would have said incel burns alive.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Nick placed the game in good faith, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I played a win.
Anyway, so yeah, P2 comes from 2007, an era where horror movies still looked like real movies, and I feel like that's important here.
Yeah, this was
because,
I think this was part of the French New Extreme technically because Alexander Aja, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he produced and wrote the movie, and if you don't know, he's famous for directing the Hills Have Eyes remakes and for directing High Tension.
Right, and I think he's got a movie out right now, that Halle Berry Never Let Go movie.
Oh yeah.
Which I did see in theaters, and it is a rough experience, let me tell you. But in a very horror movie kind of way.
That's kind of a defining thing from I've only seen High Tension from him, but yeah, that movie's also extremely rough to watch.
Yeah. The other one I'm thinking of from him is Crawl. Have you seen Crawl?
I've wanted to see Crawl.
Is that the alligator movie?
Yes,
that's the alligator movie. Yeah,
it's from It's from the people who wrote The Ward, John Carpenter's last movie.
Oh yeah, but yeah, the Crawl is very much kind of in the same vein as P2 because it's an extremely simple setup, and then you just kind of watch them spiral it out of control from there. Like, how can we escalate this character in this one location? And what am I trying to say here? Like, how many different scenarios can we come up with based on like this person being in this place at this time? kind of almost a Die Hard kind of setup, but not quite.
Yeah.
What did you guys think?
It's I'm of two minds about this movie, because this movie is really two different sort of experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it has just like the creepiness factor, and the characters just be, Thomas being creepy, and doesn't go into I'm not somebody who really likes gore and explicit violence in my horror films. Sure. I liked when it was being creepy and it was a lot of implied violence,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But when it just turns over to actual violence, I could take it or leave it. I don't know. And except for the ending. Of course, I was okay with the violence at the ending. But I don't know. I guess that's setting the appropriate stakes for what occurs at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I liked it more than I was expecting to, but you set my expectations very low. When you told me I don't have to give it my undivided attention, I gave it my undivided attention, actually.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I don't know. It was all right.
Nick, J-Man?
I liked it quite a bit. I'm okay with gore and violence in horror movies, and to me the gore really stood out as just like, oh, shit's real, and they are not fucking around. Like when oh gosh, what's his name? The guy who groped Angela, Mr. Harper.
Jim from The Office.
Yeah, Office Jim. When he gets like smashed by the car, I was like, oh god, and it shows you just how gleeful Thomas is about this whole trying to preserve Angela's purity thing. It really that got to me. I thought it was an effective use of gore, but I know that I have a high tolerance for that kind of thing, and I understand a lot of people don't.
Yeah, for my part, I that kind of stuff I appreciate, just because like I can tell they're playing a game with us, with like what level of gore is going to be too much for you. And in that scenario, he captures the guy that groped her in the elevator and ties him up at the bottom of a parking kind of lane.
P4.
P4. Yeah.
This happens on P4. All of the action can be split into the 4 different levels.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about that here in a second. But like when he smashes that guy with the car, it's pretty gruesome, and you're not really expecting to like for them to hold on it the way they do.
Yeah.
But then they do it again,
mm-hmm.
twice, and it's even worse.
Yeah, when he hits him the first time, like you see like entrails spilling out, but when they show like the final body, you can see like the exposed rib cage, and it's brutal, and it works to sell that no, Thomas is very dangerous, and you do not want to cross him.
Yeah, he's serious. He's serious about this crush, and he is not going to play nice.
He's serious about success
mm-hmm.
with Angela.
Yeah.
And I was looking through the cast list in this movie just to see if anybody in this movie was somebody that we had encountered before. And unfortunately, there really isn't. Like Wes Bentley is Thomas, who he's the kid from American Beauty that loves videotaping plastic bags.
Oh, I saw his name pop up next to American Beauty on IMDb, but I didn't. It's been so long since I've seen American Beauty. I had no idea who that was. But yeah, he's definitely
He's who you call when Jake Gyllenhaal's just too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Rachel Nichols,
That's exactly what I thought. This is a budget Jake Gyllenhaal.
We have Jake Gyllenhaal in the parking garage.
As somebody who just watched Ambulance for the first time, that's actually very funny to me. Oh man. But yeah, so then the girl, Angela, played by Rachel Nichols, we haven't seen her in anything before, but the thing I know her most from is the G.I. Joe movie for some reason. I think she plays one of the villains, I believe. Scarlet.
Yeah, Scarlet, according to IMDb.
Yeah.
She's looking for a black, I want to say, vinyl purse. I just really need my cigarettes.
And then the one person we have encountered here before is Phil Williams, who just plays cop number 1, but he also plays a cop in The Santa Claus with Tim Allen. So there's that.
Oh,
There we go.
Unfortunately, I don't think he's in any other Christmas movies, so we're not getting him in the Triple Threat Club anytime soon.
Disappointing.
That's right. And he just passed away recently, so
No cameo
RIP.
for us to celebrate that. No,
unless we get a wild hair up our butts and say, you know what, let's just do an episode on Tommy Boy for fun. Then you know what, then we can have it. That's all I got for the cast list in this movie.
It's a small cast. It's basically like Bradford said, the entire movie is just kind of is set in a parking garage. And one thing that I did like a lot is how you could easily tell the film was pretty quick to tell you at any given time where you were in relation to the exit. Angela's car and the main security office are on P2, the exit doors are on P1, and then you get further down to P3 and P4, kind of symbolizing just how far away she is. And it is kind of symbolic that the first major act of violence happens the farthest you can get from the entrance.
Right, so you were far away from safety at that point.
Mm-hmm.
She has to work her way up, kind of.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
It's handy too because it's color coded like a lot of parking decks are color coded, but it gives the movie this nice shorthand where you're never truly lost, because if you think about it, Angela's been in this parking deck hundreds of times where she works, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So she knows this place well. Not as well as Thomas, who probably knows this place like the back of his hand, but since you always know where you are in relation to the exit, it gives it this certain claustrophobic feel almost, that at any given time Angela, knows exactly how far she is from the exit, but the door is locked. So it's this constant torture of knowing how close she is to street level and help, right?
It's almost like a roller coaster, the up and down action, except it's physically mirrored in where the action takes place.
Yeah,
right.
She goes down to 4, back up to 2, down to 3 later in the film with the elevator, back up to up to 1, back down to 2, down to 3, 2, 1. It's almost like a roller coaster action. You're right.
Especially the scene where she gets to the gate and at P1 and she's trying to call for help and she's so close to the exit, but then he drags her back, and it's you so close yet so far. I think we got to do this rigmarole all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Can you? Speaking of that scene, can you help me? I don't understand how she messed up her fingernail or her hands.
She was
that scene.
her phone went through the grate.
Right. I got that part, but
she was reaching for it, and I guess her fingernail scraped on the concrete.
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
I had to. I can't mess with the fingernail stuff.
Oh yeah.
Degloving. I had to look away, so I didn't quite catch.
That's
the whole scene.
That's what you get when Alexander Aja. I really don't know how to pronounce it. But when he's producing, I think for the record we should state that he was not actually the director of this movie. The director was Frank Calhoun, who I have seen one other movie by him, the 2012 remake of Maniac, starring Shia LaBeouf. Elijah Wood. I was just looking at his face. Elijah Wood. And shot almost entirely from a first-person perspective.
Oh wow! Okay,
yeah, it's not bad.
I knew of Maniac, but I didn't know it was a first person kind of thing.
Yeah, at least the remake is it is inspired by it is a remake. I have not seen the original, but the remake version's not bad.
Okay,
it does not have anything as ridiculous as the car headshot from the original Maniac.
Okay. Oh boy, yeah, I'm gonna have to add this one to my list for sure. That also was written by Alexander Aja.
Really? Yep. There it is.
So these guys are buddies apparently, which is great.
Yeah, and he it looks like Frank Calhoun also produced Oxygen, which was a more recent Alexandre Aja movie.
Where do we go from here, guys? There's really not. Sorry.
We could talk about the body count.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with the body count because, like, as a horror movie, you kind of expect there to be at least a few bodies, and in this one, oof.
It's a small cast, but I feel they, as Nick put it, they use it effectively.
Mm-hmm.
They really
to establish Thomas as a threat, and then his eventual upcomings.
Comeuppance, if you will.
Comeuppance. There you go. They call it the weave. What I do. Let's see. No, where was I? There's also a friendly security guard named Carl that we're introduced to at the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot about Carl. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody forgets about Carl, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a scene later in the movie after Thomas has established himself as a killer. And at this point is starting to, Angela's made a couple of attempts to escape and tried to harm Thomas a couple of times. This is
the scene where this scene was kind of wild, where she gets into an elevator and just locks herself in the elevator with the emergency stop button, like we saw Carl do at the very beginning of the movie.
Right.
And she just locks herself in there and just yells at Thomas, "I can just stay here until the fire department comes get me." But then he pulls out a fire hose, sends it all the way down to the top of the elevator car, which I thought was going to be a Die Hard situation where he climbs down it. But no, he just turns on the water and starts flooding the elevator car. And then when it's starting to get really bad, he drops Carl's body onto the top of the car and it breaks through to her.
Yeah.
Very, very similar to Die Hard as well. Welcome to the party, pal.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and I do love the beginning of that scene where she's in the elevator and she thinks she's talking to like the police or security.
Oh God, yeah.
Somebody over the intercom. It's like, oh, there's a guy in here. He's trying to kill me or whatever. And then he's responding to her and he's talking to her very calmly, but then it just slowly slips into his regular voice, like, oh shit, that's Thomas.
Yeah, he's doing like an Indian style accent, like from India, as like an emergency responder, but then eventually just like goes to his normal voice and starts laughing at her. And that's just a real. I think my girlfriend. I watched this with my girlfriend. We both were like, oh shit, when that happened.
I think we're coming around to the fact there's some good stuff in this movie.
I liked it quite a bit. I was effectively scared by it, and yeah, it does do a really good job of just, hey, this character is stuck in a parking garage with a madman. What kind of things can we do to really just amp it up? What kind of spooky situations can we come up with?
Yeah,
like the bit right after the elevator bit where she runs away under the car. And Thomas can tell where she's run because she left footprints of water after she ran, and he just goes over to the car and just is monologuing to her and stabbing the tires so this truck will just slowly like fall on her and crush her was like terrifying. And I was like, I never would have thought of that.
It's twisted in a really, really just fun kind of way, isn't it? It's it's the kind of like thriller stuff that I actually really like. Where like I'm watching it and going, oh, that's actually really clever, and not scared to death. Yeah,
it's kind of like more like a '90s thriller almost, where it kind of is a small location, sets up a lot of things that just get paid off later on.
Right. Yeah. Like one of the things that I thought was going to get paid off differently than it was when early on when she's talking to her sister on the phone. And they're making the plans for like what she's going to do at the party, and her sister asks her about the Santa Claus costume for their dad. Oh yeah, it's in the trunk of the car. I thought that was going to come into play much differently than it actually did.
Yeah,
because as soon as she's drugged and knocked out, and she wakes up in Thomas's office, he's wearing the suit,
and he changed her dress. He changed her clothes while she was chloroformed out.
Yeah. That's your first indication, like, oh, well, maybe your second indication that, oh, something terrible's about to happen.
Yeah. The I really liked the scenes with just Angela and Thomas, because I thought the actors played off each other very well, and just the way the camera moves to just highlight them and their actions, and really good stuff. And Thomas just really is unbelievably creepy. And yeah, that's the scene where he gives her a Christmas gift, and she opens it up, and it's security camera footage of a guy drunkenly like trying to kiss her in an elevator, and that's the
guy.
And that inspires Thomas to show Angela how much he cares for her by taking her down to P4 to show that he's got this guy tied to duct taped to a chair, beats him with a hammer, and then smashes him into a wall.
Oh yeah. Even more well, I guess a hammer is probably more gruesome because it has the clawed end, but it's a mag light.
It's a mag light. Yeah.
Those things are fucking heavy too.
Yeah.
It's basically a hammer.
It's like they double as a nightstick effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's so creepy. And then this came out in 2007, and it's interesting because Thomas is this, I'm a nice guy kind of character, as John put it. He's an incel. And it's like he has this weird obsession with women's purity and tries to play himself up as a chivalrous person when in fact, he's a creep who's imposing himself upon a woman just as, in just as bad, if not worse a way as anybody else. And this predates a lot of stuff that's happened since then with incel groups and what is it called? Men going their own way, all of these fucking creeps that have organized after the fact. And Elliot Rodger, if you remember that was 7 years after this movie.
Jeez.
So I think it was really, creeps have always been around, but it was really tapping into something that as of more recently has become more of a known factor. And I think that's really interesting because back in 2007, I think it was starting to bubble under, but there was not as this level of public consciousness about these men that think in this very twisted way.
Yeah, I think in 2007, that was when you were getting the first jokes about neckbeards saying stuff like "milady" and wearing fedoras and things like that. But the genesis of it.
Yeah, but it hadn't reached this. The consciousness hadn't reached this level of oh no, you're super fucked up.
Yeah,
right?
incel hadn't entered the mainstream. There might have been some I don't know the history of the incel movement, to be quite honest, but there might have been some people online identifying as incels, but it was not a word that entered mainstream dialect.
Yeah,
I don't want to tell tales out of school, but I think you can largely track the growth of the incel movement to the growth of one website that starts with an R and ends with edit.
Oh.
Anyhow, moving on.
Yeah.
So what we're really saying here is that those French people, man, they live in the future.
Mm-hmm. This is where
Jonathan, we haven't heard from you in a hot minute. What are you thinking about all this?
My biggest takeaway from the movie is I can't decide if it's trash good or trash bad. I'm leaning towards trash good, though.
I think that's the direction this conversation is going towards, for sure.
I kind of had the opposite reaction from Brad, where when it slowed down and it was just about him being creepy at her, that's the parts that really I didn't like the most. Yeah. I really liked more when they were running around doing crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of with you on that, but my gut level feeling is the longer the crazy shit goes on, the more clear it is that they're running out of ideas of what to do in a parking garage.
That's true.
As you can see by the third act introduction of the rental car place, which I think is probably the biggest issue I have with the script, because it's not established before the third act that there is a rental car business in the parking garage, but that's where Angela runs to, and that's where the climax of the movie takes place.
Yeah, the only reference to it before she shows up there is Thomas mentions it to the cops, which is like
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes before then, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, end of Act 2, I would say, once that false hope leaves. That's interesting. I think it's just a different strokes for different folks thing, because I really liked the portions of the movie where it slows down and gets a little bit creepier, like when Thomas is actively tormenting her but not being openly, is not there, like leaving the fucking film footage of him dressing her on the VHS in the office, because he knows that that's where she's going with the axe.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the scene after where he floods the elevator, where he knows where she is. She's on the footage, and she's just huddling in a corner, shivering. And he's watching her on the CCTV, just biding his time. I don't know. I think just like the slower, creepier, fucked up stuff, I guess.
I think this goes back to something I've said before about some of the horror movies we've seen, where if the vibes are fucked in a certain way, I just feel like, well, the vibes are fucked that way in real life. I don't need this.
I get
enough.
I think that's fair.
I feel like a version of this that was made in 2024 would treat things a lot differently.
Yeah.
Yes.
It would be much more obvious that Thomas is like a 4chan incel type dude. But here now he's just
someone would definitely
kind of deranged.
So it would definitely be like that scene in Knives Out where the girl calls the teen boy alt-right troll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they would put a name to it right away. It's like, yeah, we know what's going on the internet.
But
great.
Yeah, I think that Bradford's right that it was like kind of tapping into something that wouldn't really like come to fruition until later. But I think it is that I think that space away, like coming first, allows it to kind of say its piece without shoving it in your face and making it blatantly obvious. And yeah, like you said, Joe, putting a name to it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Thomas also has it doesn't beat you over the head with it, but if for some reason you're particularly dense, they do allow these moments where Thomas's mask slips. Like once in the car before he's about to beat this man up, where he yells at Angela, and then at the very end when he calls her the Australian style Cecil.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But
which is sure. Which comes right before Thomas bites it.
Merry Christmas, Thomas.
So. Merry Christmas, Thomas.
Way to ruin Christmas, asshole.
Way to ruin Christmas, Thomas.
I love that that's like his recurring line whenever he, like, right before he kills somebody. Because he says it to her coworker, and he says it after he dumps Carl's body. Like, way to ruin Christmas, Carl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What an asshole, man.
Yeah.
He's a good hateable villain, I think.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
What do you think about his love of Elvis?
Honestly, I'm into that.
Yeah, I liked just having this one bit where it shows like him putting like the Elvis statue on the record and like showing the picture of him dressed as Elvis. I was like, this movie needed a little bit of comic levity, and I'm very glad it wasn't too out of place.
Right. It doesn't come completely out of nowhere, because like right away the movie, and I guess we can start talking about the Christmas aspect of this film. Right away the movie opens with Santa Baby playing over like the PA system in the parking garage. So you know, like this is what's going on. This is the setting. And he keeps doing it. He plays Blue Christmas over the speakers in the parking deck while he's dressed as Santa and like performing the song in its entirety. Which I love. I love that the movie, it's barely over 90 minutes, but it dedicates like 2.5 full minutes of Wes Bentley performing Blue Christmas.
And this continues our horror movie curse lately of starting with a out of context shot from the middle and then cutting back. I don't think we got a subtitle this time though.
No subtitle.
No.
Yup.
I made note of that when I was like, oh, I wonder how everybody else reacted to this opening. But I will say I appreciate that opening shot does the Mulholland Drive Sunset Boulevard thing where it has a diegetic title drop.
Yeah, because you see the P2 just like painted on the side of the pillar.
Yeah.
Like, yep, there's the title right there. Easy.
Yeah.
This is a good movie.
Yeah. Also, I have to make a confession. I thought I was being really smart because I was like, when Thomas first started like acting kind of weird about her and trying to start Angela's car, when it was when like her first troubles is that her car doesn't start, and when she tries to call a cab, she can't get a cab. But when she's trying to start that car and Thomas is just acting kind of really way too friendly and nice, trying the lady doth protest too much, just trying too hard, I was like, oh, this is just like Baby It's Cold Outside, with the discourse we have of what constitutes people trying to a guy pressuring a woman and stuff, even though I think Baby It's Cold Outside is, in the context of its time, it's way different than how we interpret it now. But also,
true.
I'm a dum-dum. I'm a dum-dum who confused Santa Baby with Baby It's Cold Outside, because Baby It's Cold Outside is not in the movie.
I mean, the point is well taken, but yeah, it's not the right song at all.
That's my Santa's Workshop. Open with Baby It's Cold Outside, and maybe introduce the car rental place earlier.
I agree, because Santa Baby kind of suggests that this is going to be a movie about like a sugar daddy, trying to run her down, but that's not what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, speaking of the car rental place, spoiler alert, if this is a problem for you, a dog does die.
Yeah,
that's the one kill that
too.
was. Well, I mean, the other people that Carl's a bummer, and the dog's a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a dog doing dog stuff.
Yeah,
the way it's trained. That felt bad about that, but I get it. You're trying to escape with your life,
and the dog's attacking her, but it still does not feel good, man.
No, that's probably the lowest point of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, if they were gonna cut away from anything, I would have preferred they cut away from the dog dying, but they don't.
Yeah, the dog kill is a bit of a bummer.
Yeah,
that would be my Santa's Workshop is an off screen, like, just shoot it from the outside of the. She can get bitten because that's kind of important.
Yeah,
she's limping the rest of the movie, but like. Just maybe shoot it outside of the car and let it be done. Because he yells and carries on that she killed his dog later.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You could even cut away and like have it be a weird reveal that he's upset about that. I don't know.
Can I suggest a Santa's Workshop where this movie does need a little bit more levity? I think Nick is right about that. But here's something that I would have liked to have seen when he establishes that he's got this dog. And so it's a Rottweiler, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then when he finally unleashes the dog on her, I would have loved for there to be a joke where the dog doesn't chase after her. It just runs away because, like, it's just not even his dog. He just has a dog for stalking purposes.
Yeah,
and it escapes at the first opportunity.
Oh.
Yeah, what kind of security guard is allowed to have an attack dog on duty in a parking garage?
Right? Yeah, it's not regulation, and it's probably not sanitary.
Oh,
I don't want to defend dog murder, but with all the other gore in this movie, it's like, I
mean, yeah, it blends in with everything else. It's not out of place, like tone wise. It's just a fucking bummer because it's a dog that's trained to do this. It's probably the closest thing, other than Carl, it's the closest and Angela, it's the closest thing to an innocent being in this movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Anyhow,
this movie does bring up the interesting idea of the Mr. Harper, the guy who drunkenly groped and tried to kiss Angela during after a holiday Christmas party, and it does grapple the idea of is he actually a good person? And because Thomas is like he needs to die, but Angela's like, no, he's a good person. It was a mistake, and he doesn't deserve to die over a mistake like this. It is
true. I mean, because before any of that even happens, we see that character come to her in her office and actually apologize to her for it.
Yeah.
But we don't really know what he's apologizing for yet.
Yeah.
So I won't say he's a good person, but he's at least, he's owning up to it at the very least.
I mean, this is probably taking it into a bit of the wrong direction, but I'll just say, like, there are certain crimes we don't have the death penalty for in this country, and that's one of them. Maybe there should be more crimes we don't have the death penalty for, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
Fair,
like,
yeah.
Like, of all the people to say if he deserves to die or not, like, Thomas definitely isn't that guy.
Well, yeah, it's Angela's call, and she made it like she is the victim in this case, and she, like what he did is an absolutely shitty thing, and even apologizing doesn't make him a good person.
Yeah, but if she's not mad about it, then it's like it's not his call to get mad about it for her.
Correct, and that's what makes Thomas such a shitty person and a shitty character because he's like after he murders her, he's still obsessing over whether or not they had sex. It's fucked, right?
Yeah,
and it's a good amount of characterization that he's so obsessed with this purity of this woman that he's never really even met before. Yeah, he keeps
vacillating between like screaming about him touching her and like, oh well, she liked it because she's obviously a fucking slut and all of this shit. Like,
right?
It is amazing how much like, oh no, this is just every guy on the internet in like 7 years later. Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
It's Can we talk about the finale at the car rental place? Because even though I think the introduction of the car rental place is kind of slapdash, the actual set piece itself is really good. I liked it a lot.
It's pretty good, yeah. Well, it as soon as they establish it, like the first thought that enters my head is, oh, right, there are other cars in the parking garage. We can have some fun with this.
Yeah.
And once she gets the tire iron, I guess she could have broken into cars with the axe, but she was not focused on that at the moment.
Well, yeah, she got the tire iron and, like, escaped to, like, try to go tell the cops as they were leaving. Yeah, because the cops show up because she does make a phone call, and the cops just are about as useful as a cop in a horror movie can be, where they just drive around and there's like, are you sure nothing weird happened here? And the Tom was like, nope, nothing weird.
And then as they're driving around doing during their search, Thomas cranks up Santa Baby on the PA system to drown out Angela's screams, bringing us back around full circle to the beginning of the film, which, like, realizing what he's doing there, I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Like, clever horror movie villain shit. Right there.
But as Angela is about to, like, run at the gate and yell at the cops that she's in trouble, Thomas shows up in slow motion with Rocky, his dog, and Rocky chases her through the garage to the car rental place where she breaks into a car, and Rocky jumps through the window, and she, as we mentioned, she kills Rocky. It was not pleasant to watch, but it is what it is. She had to save herself.
Self-defense, I understand.
Yeah. But then, she runs into the rental car place and tries to both call 911 and unlock a cabinet to get, like, some car keys.
Right.
Failing to do, and while she's trying to call 911, Thomas shows up, and Thomas rounds the corner where she's supposed to be from where we saw her, and she's not there. Oh god, this part was great. And Thomas is like is walking around with his light, just like shining on everything, trying to find where Angela is. He is going into a hallway with some little metal lockers full of stuff in there. He's looking. We see Angela's hiding in a locker because we can see the slats on her face. As Thomas is,
It's a great misdirect because there's the light shining on her face.
It's the double misdirect.
As the shorthand for, Angela's hiding in a closet or a locker somewhere with slats. And then we see him. Now I'll let you continue. We see him spot a piece of cloth hanging out of a locker with slats, right?
Yeah, and so we think that he's going to open the door, but no, he sees the part of her dress. He opens the door, and there's nothing in there. The dress that he saw was just a small rip of fabric, and she busts out from the closet across the hall from him and sprays him in the eye with cleaning solution.
Yes.
Oh. And then she's able to run away, and she gets keys to a car, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're both driving around the garage trying to get after each other while.
And at this moment, it occurs to me, I'm like, it's in a parking garage. Of course, there's going to be a car chase scene, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of obligatory.
But then they play chicken.
Yeah, but it's also a parking garage, so you can only go so fast.
Right.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But like the best and or worst is yet to come, because like ultimately, God, she stabs him in the eye with a file.
Well, she and him play chicken, where they end up not crashing into each other. But as she's rounding a curve, she hits a concrete pillar in the garage, flips her car over, and Thomas manages to, she's slumped over the steering wheel, pressing on the horn. Thomas goes over to her car, opens up the door, and that's when she has the tire iron and stabs him in the eye.
Yeah.
And there was
I think it's a letter opener, because she's trying to pick the handcuff.
Yeah, that's
that
right.
Yeah.
It's the letter opener. Oh, and it's a gnarly practical effects close up.
It's gross, man.
Straight into the eyeball.
Oh.
And then
at this point, it's kind of praxis, and you're like,
get him.
We're ready for the villain to get got.
And then
right?
she strangles him with the handcuffs that he has kept her in. This entire movie, ever since she's been chloroformed, she's been in handcuffs, somehow doing all these incredible things while in handcuffs. So she strangles him until he passes out. But oh no, it's a horror movie. So he comes back for one final like scare at her, but she manages to get a hold of his taser, and because she crashed her car, there's a bunch of gas leaking out of it, and she lights the taser, and as she lowers it to the gas leading to the car, she says, "Merry Christmas, Thomas," as he becomes engulfed in flames and the car explodes.
And if you had asked me like what ending does P2 go with, not in a million years would I have said, oh yeah, they do the Mad Max ending. But they do the fucking Mad Max ending at the end of P2.
And it works beautifully because, it's a movie about a parking garage. Yeah, you gotta have a car-based death for the villain.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and if you think about it, there's 2 car-based deaths.
Yeah, yes.
But and just the fact that she gets, I guess, she offs him by this, through this really gruesome kind of torture death. It's just, I mean, he deserves it, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
it works. It just, I love the ending to this, and then as she's sorry,
I just realized the close up on the eyes is just when she stabs him. It looks a lot like when what's his name, Toe Cutter's eyes pop out of his head at the end of the first Mad Max.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh my god.
So, what do you get when you cross observe and report with Mad Max? You get P2.
Oh my god, yeah. There is a lot of observe and report, but Seth Rogen's not funny in playing the villain.
No. I mean, observe and report really is what if P2 was from Thomas's perspective?
Yeah.
Yeesh.
Ooh.
Yeesh or Rooney. But then you get that ending where she's walking out of the parking garage and the sun is coming up on Christmas morning.
It's snowing.
It's snowing downtown, and all of the fire trucks and paramedics are coming toward the building because they know something's going on.
Yeah.
And then just cut to fade to credits, Blue Christmas plays again, and you're out of the theater and off into the world.
Yeah, you emerge from the darkness into the light.
Yeah, that's right. Merry Christmas, everyone. So yeah, that's P2, everybody. Let's jump to the crankometer so we can rate this puppy and be on our merry way. Friends, the crankometer is our patented XY axis for rating Christmas movies. The X axis is how Christmassy a film is, and the Y axis is how good a film is. So, gentle friends, I put it to you now: how Christmassy is P2, the sequel to P?
I would say I'm of two minds about the Christmassy because it is very Christmassy. There's Christmas lights all over, and the movie is set with the premise of she has to leave to go to a Christmas party. There's,
Right.
Blue Christmas, there's Santa Baby. There's a lot of Christmas elements to it, but also on the other hand, it's a movie that didn't need Christmas, and Christmas is almost there kind of as like a little spice to the mix.
Right.
Like,
I think it kind of does the Die Hard thing where, like, it takes place at Christmas because otherwise, like, Christmas Eve is like the one night where, like, nobody, like, no cops, none of it are paying attention to a parking garage at night. You know?
That makes sense. And that's also, like, at the beginning of the movie when she tries to call a cab and she has to wait a long time for the cab and can't actually get out to, take her cab to her sister's place.
To get home. So I think that works to the film's benefit.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It's enough justification that this building would be less occupied than it usually is.
Yeah.
And thus the parking garage.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm okay with it. I'm okay with all of that stuff. And I don't think it wastes any of it either.
Mm-hmm.
I think we get exactly as much as we need to get that feeling and that flavor, but it doesn't like overload it with like, oh, this is a Christmas horror movie.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give this a 3.
I concur.
A solid 3.
I can go with a 3. That's fine.
J-Man, what about you?
I'll go 3. That sounds good to me.
Alrighty. So I did not expect that to be so smooth. So then the Y-axis, friends, did we enjoy P2 and can we give this a positive score?
Oh, for sure, positive.
Definitely positive.
P2 gets a 3-2. They were done.
Very good.
It was way better than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Is it revelatory? Is it amazing? I don't know, but it was certainly decent, right?
Right.
The script isn't like, we have some qualms with the story structure and the script structure, and I think like the individual like line by line writing isn't like anything to to celebrate. It's pretty perfunctory, but it's very effective at what it wants to do, and I think it does do a good job of giving you a tight 100-minute horror movie. So I would say 2. I would even maybe probably argue for a 3.
I'd be cool with a 2 or a 3.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I will say Jonathan's line earlier is great.
Yes, yeah.
Oh man, I'm out of the tiebreaker. Damn it.
You're the tiebreaker.
Yep.
Because I'm already fence sitting, so it's up to you.
At the end of the day, I enjoyed this. I had fun with it, but I wonder how much of that is me being in 2024 and watching a horror movie that actually acts like a horror movie and has production values and is made by real artists. Because like, remember, we've watched some real crap this season. Like it's so much. It's such a cut above Ice-tastrophe and Mercy Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if I would have thought that in 2007, you know?
Right.
So I wonder if hindsight is just being very kind to P2. But
To say something is aged well is not necessarily a mark against it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know what? That's fair. You know what? I'm going to give it a 3.
All right.
This movie has
All right.
aged well. And that's all the
3-3.
justification I need. This P2 gets a 3-3.
All right.
Which I honestly am shocked.
Yeah,
I thought we were going to hate the hell out of this.
I wish I had done my write down what I think the movie is going to be before I watch it. I really need to start doing that as a habit.
Yeah. Because this would have way surpassed all of our expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but that's
I was
that's a good
expecting to enjoy it, but I was like constantly riveted, and I was very surprised at how good it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Like my attention wavered. I will be perfectly honest. It wavered kind of in the middle, but then that ending brought it home for me.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And having now seen it, I'm glad we have done this because, like, I remember when this came out, 2007. I was in college. I remember seeing it seeing the posters and stuff in the theater and thinking, like, that's a stupid name for a horror movie. No one's gonna want to see it. Who cares? And now, 16, 17 years later, it's pretty good.
I mean, it works kind of beautifully as a name because P2, it just kind of tells you, especially with the poster, it tells you everything you need to know. It's a horror movie set in a parking garage.
Yeah. And it's so efficient at what it does that I'm genuinely like excited about. Like I'm excited to tell the internet that P2 is a good movie.
Yeah. It's one of those like, yeah, it's a little treasure where you're just like, ooh, I get to, share it around, and it's the joy of watching movies. You'll stumble across something that you didn't know you'd like as much as you do.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, I'm going to stake my claim on this now. We are the first Christmas movie podcast to have covered P2.
Oh,
I just know, I feel it in my bones. I don't know it for certain, but I just feel it.
Yeah, it feels like it's been kind of forgotten by time. Like my girlfriend was like, I'm kind of surprised I didn't watch this back in the day because I watched a ton of horror movies around this time.
Yeah. And I mean, this movie was not a big success. I mean, it budgeted at $3.5 million. It only made $7.5 million. So it doubled its money, but only just barely.
Yeah.
So yeah, friends, P2 is out there. I believe it's on. I think I watched it on Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
it's on Prime with ads. I believe it is on the people streaming service Tubi.
Yeah, I watched it on Tubi.
Yeah, it's on Tubi. It's on a bunch of the free streaming services.
Yeah.
I think Prime is without ads. I don't know. I didn't get ads with mine.
Oh, okay.
The deal is.
I thought you had to. I thought Amazon Prime was doing a thing now where their Prime Video you have to pay the extra like $2 or $3 a month to get ad free.
Oh, I have not opted into that.
Okay.
Forget that noise though.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I do.
I definitely didn't watch this with ads, but then maybe that just hasn't rolled out to me.
Most of my ads were for gambling.
Sports gambling or just regular type?
Sports.
Oh, okay.
So I like this. And in Spain, apparently the movie's called Parking 2 because pedos means farts.
Oh boy.
Love it. Oh man. This is one where I would actually like to see kind of, other countries remake this because I would like to see like how other countries do parking garages,
There is a remake of this I saw.
Really?
Like a foreign it's
adaptation.
Yeah. Let me see where I found it. Probably on Wikipedia is where I saw that.
I see it. It's from 2023. It's an Indian remake called I Love You, and they've turned it into a romantic thriller.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Does it still take place at Christmas?
Let's go.
Let's see. I can't tell. The plot. Satya, a highly accomplished corporate executive, eagerly envisions a bright future with her fiancé. However, her life takes a sudden twist when, on the verge of boarding a flight to Delhi, she finds herself inexplicably trapped within the office premises. As the night unfolds, Satya encounters a series of alarming challenges and mysteries. And the poster, guys, I got to show this poster too.
I'm seeing it now.
It's hilarious.
I know. Yeah.
Wait.
Oh,
Where
boy.
is this post? Where is this poster?
Okay, I put it in the Discord.
Okay. 22. Oh.
Kind of want to watch this.
If it takes place in or around Christmas, I think we have to do this now, right?
It takes place on Diwali.
Does it really?
Does it really?
Yeah, it says in the summary I'm reading on IMDb, it says it takes place in Diwali.
Oh my god, so it's still a holiday movie.
It's still a holiday. I think we might be able to justify it, right?
Diwali 2025.
It's Christmas. It's Christmas, or it's around the same time as Halloween most years.
Oh man. Oh, I hate that we can't do that.
Yeah, I really wished it was around Christmas.
I mean, we watched Hocus Pocus before. We just do whatever the hell we want. It's our show.
Well,
Y'all,
I
have
listen.
some good news about I Love You.
Okay.
It's streaming
I
on
love you too.
Tubi.
It's streaming
It
on
is?
Tubi
It's streaming on
With-
Tubi according to IMDb.
with
Oh,
subtitles.
Oh, I would hope so.
It's Hindi, so unless you guys have brushed up on your Hindi,
Let's see. I'm
kinda
on
gotta-
Tubi right now. Let's have a look. See.
Tubi stays winning.
Yeah, it does have English subtitles.
Oh man, Z's.
Oh my god.
Is this our follow up? Because why the hell not?
Our first episode in November.
Do we want to have Dr. Let's.
I
we should definitely.
I would be back for it.
Same crew. Let's just run it back. Watch. I love you. Right?
Oh my god, that's amazing.
And can I tell you guys the best, my favorite part of this plan?
Yeah.
Between now and whenever we record this, I will get married. So that's
Woo!
perfect.
Congrats.
Let's do this. I think we need to call our shot. And
Yeah.
just- you know what? It's your podcast.
No,
It's
this
on
is
a holiday. It's on a holiday. This can work. We can make this work.
all right. Let's do that. Let's pencil that in for next time.
Mm-hmm.
So P2, friends, landed on the crankometer a +3, which is genuinely a shock to everyone. But it's well worth checking out. It's on Prime. It's on Tubi. Go watch it. You're gonna have a fun time. I don't want to say I guarantee it because your taste is different than mine. But give it a shot and let us know what you think. That's going to do it for Christmas Creeps this week, friends. I certainly enjoyed talking about P2 with you, Dr. Nick. Thank you for joining us once again.
You're very welcome. I'm always glad to stop on by.
And I can't wait to have you back on to talk about the Indian remake.
Oh,
That's gonna be a
yes.
great
Oh,
time.
yes.
Bradford, Jonathan, thank you as well. Your presence here is much appreciated.
Always.
I don't know why I said it like that.
It's all good. Always.
Is any final parting thoughts on P2 or this episode? Anything anybody else wants to get out there? We haven't even talked about video games, which is a shock to me.
It's funny you mentioned anything left to talk about P2 and video games. I was thinking while I was watching this how good it would be to have a roguelike where you're trying to escape being trapped by some person or madman. Are you guys familiar with the board game Final Girl?
No.
It's a series of solo board games where it uses horror tropes, and you are as the name suggests, a woman trying to escape a number of different horror scenarios by using like what weapons and cunning you have at your disposal.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just thought it would be like a really great adaptation to have that in like a Metroidvania or a roguelike format. I was going to make a joke about when she gets the crowbar that she can sequence break or when she gets the axe, she can sequence break by stealing things out of cars and breaking out of the garage. But anyways, that's enough of a derail from me. It'd be really cool to see that, though. I think it would be really fun, especially if you took it in more of like a Hades direction, where like it's really hard but you can establish story over like the number of runs that you do until you finally manage to escape. I think that would feel really nice.
And you've got like the
Anyways.
perfect leveling structure in there too, because like each level of the parking garage is a different level in the game.
Exactly right.
I love this. Yeah. So any
Anyhow.
enterprising video game designers out there listening, hey, free idea for you.
I'm an ideas guy.
I'm sure the licensing rights to
I'm
P2 are super cheap.
Oh, yeah.
Super cheap to non-existent.
Anyhow.
Anyway, but yeah, thanks so much for listening, friends. If you want to talk to us any way, shape, or form, we're on all the socials. You can find us on the internet at christmascreeps.com. That's where all of our links are. That's where we'll put a link to the Discord channel in our show notes, where we talk about all kinds of fun things, up to and including food and beverage chat, video game chat, music league that is currently about to wrap up that we need to talk about here in a minute.
I sometimes post my Gundams that I build.
He
Yeah.
does, yeah. And we have a blast talking about all kinds of nonsense, and sometimes it's also about Christmas and podcasting too, because that's what we do around here. So, friends, that is going to do it for Christmas Creeps. I'm trying to end the show as fast as I can now. Thank you for listening. I have been Joseph Wade.
I'm Bradford.
I'm Johnny Five, the Human Robot.
And I'm Dr. Nick.
Oh my goodness. Creep it real, y'all, and we'll see you in November.
Christmas. Happy Christmas.